The night the corn learned to glow, they called them lanterns at first soft. Floating lights that drifted a foot above the tassels, weaving lazy-esque curves like bored fireflies. But fireflies don't cast shadows, and these did. Where the glow passed, leaves shriveled mid-green, silk went gray like hair, and by sunrise whole circles of corn lay slick and black, rotted as if time had jumped ahead a month and dared the field to catch up. Ray Jensen saw the first one from his porch at 2:14 a.m. Coffee steaming, radio low. It moved with the wind, except the wind wasn't moving. He grabbed a mag light, and his father sold shotgun because Nebraska men believe in light and noise in equal measure. Out between the rows, dirt, soft as cake. The glow stopped 20 feet away and pulsed like a heartbeat. The flashlight beam died inside it, swallowed clean. The shotgun stayed pointed at the ground because some instincts are older than anger. By morning, a perfect circle of mush lay where the light had hovered, stalks collapsing into themselves, ears gone to sour jelly. Beetles crawling out like survivors of a shipwreck. Ray's boots sank ankle deep. That patch never dried right again. Folks blamed swamp gas, irrigation leaks, St. Elmo's neon cousin. Then the lights started following machines trailing, combines like stray dogs, hovering over seed drills, as if reading the recipe. A drone pilot posted footage, 3 pale orbs spiraling above a pivot, then dropping in unison and popping out a ring of rot so clean it might have been cut with a compass. The clip went big fast. Outsiders said hoax. Everyone here said those are my rows, and called the co-op. Emma Tran, the county AG agent, who kept a microscope on her desk and a tire iron in her trunk, took samples. Spores, yes. Mold, yes. But the cells looked cooked, like each one had burst from the inside, heat without flame. A boil you couldn't touch. They're not eating, she told Ray, flipping slides with angry fingers. They're turning it off. The second twist hit at the Jensen silo fear, except nothing burned. The temperature spiked. Alarms wailed Ray and the volunteers rolled foam, and the lights descended like quiet rain. The corn piled inside went from yellow to black in a breath, steaming without smoke. When they pried the hatch, a smell like pennies. An old bread knocked 3 men backward. No flame. Just killed. That night Emma stayed in the field with a thermal camera and a cattle prod because science and theater sometimes need each other. At 2:12, the lights arrived 3 at the east fence line. One over the creek, another drifting lazy down the section road as if it had read the speed limit. Through the thermal, each orb wasn't hot. The air around them was a ring of invisible fever moved a foot ahead of the glow, the way heat halos a stove. Why circles? Emma asked the empty sky, and Nebraska answered in the way Nebraska answers whined, lifting the tassels like a shrug. Ray, who believed in trying, walked to the edge of the freshest rot and set down a 5-gallon bucket of water from the old welder. Pre-irrigation, well, the one his granddad used before pivots learned to drink the Ogallala by the mouthful. He backed away. 10 steps. The nearest light paused, pulsed, and lowered until it kissed the bucket rim. Steam puffed. The glow went out. The field exhaled. They tried it again with creek water. The light ignored it. Again with pond water. No effect. Well water from 80 feet down. Puff. Out. The circle stopped coming there and started elsewhere, like a temper tantrum with a map. That should have been the ending. Salt of the earth folks outsmart the strange with buckets and grit. But Nebraska doesn't do tidy. A week later, every light in the county hovered in Jensen's North 40, gathered like weather. Emma's thermal drew a ring of heat expanding slow, a patient boil. The pivot creaked. Stalks whispered like prayer. Ray lined up 12 buckets along the headland and waited for midnight like a duel. At 12:03, the nearest light dipped to a Bucaton stopped. The steam didn't puff. The glow didn't die. It breaked in it, as if the well had switched sides. Emma checked the sample labels and swore softly. This wasn't the old well. This was the deeper one, punched last spring to keep up with thirsty July. They're not after the corn, she said, throat dry. They're after what the corn drinks. The clickbait version would say, The aquifer fought back. The quieter truth felt bigger. Something in the deep water was done being borrowed without a thank you. Every circle of rot traced the reach of newer lines, deeper straws. The old well calmed them. The new woke them up. Ray shut the main valve because men who worked the land know when to kneel. The lights dimmed, rose like dandelion fluff, and drifted toward the only circle that hadn't gone black. The patch watered from the shallow hand pump. They hovered there like bees, choosing a hive. Then they went out, one by one, leaving stars the only lights left. By dawn, word had spread county to county, by text and breath. Folks lined their headlands with dented buckets and galvanized tubs. They capped the deepest wells and cursed and laughed and cried, because drought is a bully and harvest is a math problem with feelings. The lights came less, then rarely, then only where someone ignored the memo or couldn't afford to obey it. Emma wrote it up for the state and got a polite thank you and a grant for sensors. She wrote another for the co-op and got quiet nods and a pallet of new gaskets. She wrote a last one, a letter to no one and everybody, and tacked it up at the elevator between the rain gauge and the missing cat. If the field glows, don't shoot. Don't run. Bring it a drink from where your grandfather drank. Say sorry with your hands. The final twist came in October, when the first freeze penciled silver on the leaves. Ray walked the North 40 and found a single perfect circle of green in a sea of dunstalks. Ears heavy, cobs fat as wrists. In the center stood a dented bucket, empty now, rim white with salt like a tightline. He left that patch standing 2 more weeks, then picked it slow with the old Turo like a man harvesting a memory. The grain tasted sweeter. Somehow, he saved a sack for a seed and bolted the rest to the elevator floor with a note. For coffee and for the lights. They never came back mean. Sometimes a glow would float at the fence line on windless nights, like a neighbor checking on you without stepping onto the porch. Sometimes a circle browned in a field nobody told to switch wells, and a convoy of pickups would appear with buckets, laughing hard to hide the hurry. Mostly the stars kept being stars, and the pivots kept singing their circle song, and the lights kept their peace as long as the old wells ran. You can call it a haunting if it helps the story go. Out here they called it a reminder.